And welcome to this month's Crafting Together with All Brands vlog hop video, and the theme this month is autumn. So I've kind of gone a little bit dipping a toe into Halloween, but you can kind of see how you can twist this sign to your Halloween needs. But I also wanted to stick with the autumn fall theme as well. So I've gone for my nice hot drinks, pumpkins, and a little bit of spice. So you will need some vinyl. So this is the adhesive vinyl, so it's sticky back. You also need an electronic cutter. I'm going to be really brand non-specific here, so you can do any of the cutters. There is a little bit of software tutorial that I do, but it's really quick, really quick. So you can change that for your software. You're going to need some gesso to actually prime your MDF sign. You're going to need the MDF sign. You're also going to need some paint. So that can be acrylic paint, it can be watercolour if you want, and then seal it. So it really is up to you. I used a damp rag as well, so you want to have one of those to one side. You're also going to need some transfer sheets and release paper so that you can do your layering with your vinyl. And you're also going to need a few little pre-cut elements. So these could be stickers, it could be elements that you've had in a digital kit, or it could be some die cuts that you have in the book. There's quite a few on the market now, so I'm sure you'll be familiar with some brands. If not, just pop a question and I'll suggest some places that you can go and have a look for these fun things to play with. So with that, we'll get started. So what I've done so far is I've prepped my MDF sign with the following. I started off with some white gesso. So this is a Crafty Devils one. It could be any white gesso that you prefer. Then what I've done is I've done a kind of fairly thick coat of the following. So I have some white watercolour paint, which is kind of off-white, so it's more like a creamy colour. So a tiny spot of the Kaiser colour in the red. Okay, so it really is powerful stuff, so you only need like a dip of the corner of your paintbrush. Then you need some yellow. Now this is a really nice deep warm yellow, so if we look at it on the cap so you can kind of get the colours right. And my target was to get like a pale orange. Then when it's still damp, I've just tapped lightly over the top with a damp cloth or baby wipe, or I could even use something like a natural sponge. Just bear in mind that 2 of these paints are acrylics, so you will need to wash whatever you use pretty quickly to avoid that setting. Okay, and now it's back to canvas. So in Canvas Workspace, I've started a guide shape that matches the width and height of my sign. And I've imported an SVG file. So this one is from Design Bundles. And when they come in, they usually come in all in black. So what I've done is divide to get to all the individual sections. And then I've coloured them accordingly. So I have a shape that is the outer circle and a couple of the letters that is brown. Another shape that is green. And then if we have shapes where they don't overlap, we need to use group instead. So I have an orange group. With my guide shape, I've set it to draw. I've locked it so that I'm not accidentally selecting it, and I can also hide it as well, ready for sending. To set the colours, you can just click on any shape and go up to fill colour at the top, or in properties. And once you're ready, we can go file, transfer file. It's going to throw up a bit of an error, and it's not saying that anything is wrong, really. It's just kind of being there as a reminder that you have some items that are locked. If you send a locked item that's visible, that lock won't apply on your machine. And likewise saying that you've hidden something, so that won't be sent. So, simple. I'm going to send it via the internet. And then it's going to go OK. And on a Mac, it's still got a little bit of a glitch when you send stuff to the internet, so you just need to close that window. Job done. Okay, so now what we're going to do is retrieve the data that we've just sent from Canvas Workspace. So we're going to go, first of all, make sure that your Wi-Fi is enabled and active, so it should look blue. We're going to go to retrieve data, and I'm going to pull my design down off the cloud. If you've used your USB, that's going to be this button here. If you're using a USB cable, then you'll be going to this button here and finding the cloud. We're going to use top right. I do apologise for the glare. If I just put my head there a moment. So here's our design. We've brought in all our colours at once. That is absolutely fine. No need to panic about that. Nice and simply, we're just going to remove the elements that we don't need. So I'm going to start off with my brown vinyl first, which is our biggest piece. So if I go to edit, I can use my arrow keys here and here to move between the shapes on my map without having to click and accidentally move them, for instance. So I know that my brown bounding box would go all the way around the outside of that circle. So this item that is selected at the moment, I don't need, so I can just delete it and OK. Again, we don't need this one here either. Delete and OK, which is going to give me my remaining shape. Don't drop your stylus. So with that there, we can go OK, OK. Please select cut. Just going to think about it. We're going to go into the settings, screen down, turn on half cut because we're using vinyl. We only want to cut halfway through. I'm going to pop this back cut to auto and see how we go. Now we can add a reading box as well. Now because of the size, I think that's going to be a good idea. So I'm going to turn that on. OK. It's still going to give me a big hole in the middle of my vinyl, but I can still use all those little bits around the outside for something else. It's not a colour that I use very often, so I don't need to spend too much on it. We're going to take our mat and load it into the machine. Okay, and then we can start it cutting. So by the magic of editing, I'll be back in a second with everything cut. Okay, so I have all my pieces cut and weeded, which is where I've removed the waste. I've trimmed around inside the weeding boxes for each of my colours. Now, if you're doing HTV, it's really important that you go just inside that weeding line so you don't get any slight little edges of HTV, because if those transfer to your garment, you can't get them off. But I thought I would kind of go through the process with adhesive vinyl for this time. I have some release paper in case I need it. I have some transfer sheet, and I've gone for one with a grid. It just makes it a bit easier when we're doing things with text, albeit that this one's a bit kind of scattered and all over the place. So I have got my design up on my scanner screen as well that I can refer to. Now there's two ways that I can build up my design. I can start with the smallest piece first, or I can go for the largest piece, first. There is no doing this. It's all down to personal preference. So hence I do have the release paper in case I need it for working between layers. Okay, so if I look at my screen, my U is more or less level with the bottom of my N. So if I put that on a guideline, then I should be having everything square on for doing everything else. Hopefully then, when we transfer it to our sign, we can still use our grid to get everything aligned so it doesn't look like we're going off on an angle. So first things first, I've folded my transfer sheet so that I have a centerline marker. And that's more for my reference, so I know roughly where I'm aiming. Especially if you're starting smaller first, you're going to want to have that available. Now, I'm going to go for the larger one. You want to make sure that it's sitting well within our kind of frame there. Okay, now I can put my release paper there if I need to just check that that's level. So I'm just going to plop this back over the top. Let's do a quick check. So looking at the bottom of the N, bottom of the U and our grid, that's not looking too bad. So I'm just going to keep my hand there and just start to take a little bit of that transfer paper over so that we kind of got that bottom edge caught. Okay, now we can lay that over, press down, and if you have a squeegee, we can use that to just go over the top. Just make sure that there's no bubbles and it should transfer nicely to our transfer sheet. Now the transfer sheet I'm using is a first edition one, but you can use any transfer tape you prefer. So we peel away our backing and you can throw that away. Next, we're going to get in our pumpkin, position that very roughly. We can use our transfer sheet again, and this time we can check our alignment. So let's have a quick look, and it may need to go down a bit more, which it certainly looks like it does. So you can go, just peel back a bit more if you need to kind of get items a little bit lower. Also going to move that across. So if I look at the kind of grid line here, I can see that it's supposed to fit within that. And kind of get that level. Release paper over the top. And let's try again. Probably gone too far the other way now. Let's see if I can just walk that up very carefully. A little bit more. A little bit further up. About there. Okay. Let me just do a quick. Almost gone too far. It's worth taking your time at this point just to get it where you want it. Okay. It's not looking too bad. Let's go for it. And again, squeegee. And lift. And peel. Now sometimes if you've got something that's a bit close to your weeding box, you might just find it needs just a little bit of encouragement to come on. one's being super sticky. There we go. Sometimes if you find that it's doing this, it's because it's actually overcut. So the way to tell is if you're trying to release your vinyl and you're getting a little bit of paper on the back, it's just slightly overcut it too much. So next time you use that vinyl, just lighten up your pressure. Okay. Now I may have the same issue with my pumpkin. So I'm just going to take my thumb, press down. It's one of those ones where if you've got long nails and strong nails, you're in much better stead. Unfortunately, at the moment, I have neither. There we go. So, now we can flip that back down. And before we try and line anything else up, you just want to try and get your piece to just lie flat. And just make sure that anything that has lifted is pressed back down. Okay. So, last piece. Moment of truth. Dun, dun, dun. Let's put all this back again. So we know that we need to get kind of the M and the K roughly there. Piece of paper again. Just saves accidentally picking something up and not being able to undo it. So open a little to the left. So there. A little bit to the right, maybe. How we go to levelness. Not too bad. We just do a little nudge there. Looking okay. So press and hold. If you think you have accidentally moved it, just recheck. Just because it's shiny on shiny, so this one's a bit awkward to do. It's just the quality of the backing paper. So take your time. It's not looking too bad actually. I'm going to go with it there. So, again, squeegee. Nice firm pressure when you're using your squeegee as well. Pick it up. Remove your backing paper. Again, it's quite easy to forget that little step. So, nothing worse than having forgotten and design any kind of part transferring. And again, just give it a little encouragement if needed. Just to release. It's been quite awkward, this one, to be fair. There we go. As always, come on. Just try not to use your nail if you have something that is close by that is kind of over the edge. So let's get that in there too. See that backing that I was referring to? It's okay. You can be a little bit brutal with it just to get that kind of to a point where you can kind of tear it off, but not too brutal. because we don't want to pull off the other elements, because you're going to see it's going to start pulling a little bit. There we go. And then we can peel that away. Nice and easy. Down we go. And again, you want to do the same thing. Press it down just in case anything's lifted. And there we go. We can peel this back. I'm going to try and do it so that it's nice and level on its paper. So if we do that by the grid here, can pull it off a level mat all the way along. And hopefully, when we offer this back over, it should be pretty centered. I'm just going to move that very slightly, just so that we get, there we go, and down we plop. Now, I find it easier to push away from me, so I'm going to rotate that round and just push. Go over it with your fingers so you can feel any lumps or bumps or air bubbles that might have formed. Then we can very carefully peel this back. Now it's really important when we do this step, I meant to have said before, but you want your paint to be absolutely totally dry. So I actually painted this, left it overnight, and then we can do that. And we have our slime. So there we go. We can then decorate that as we need to or want to. So originally I worked it out that I was going to put that one over that side, but I think just for space, I'm going to pop that one there. Another little pumpkin just there. And then we've got a couple of bigger pumpkins that we can use over the side. Maybe that one just there. And one up there to finish it off. So we can stick those with a little bit of gel medium, or if they're stickers, you can just stick those straight on. It's really up to you. But I'm also going to pull out just a couple of little 3D flowers that kind of go with our colour scheme. And we've got a green one. Maybe I can't find quite the green I want in vinyl. Let's bring that in some other ways. And I think that will do. So I just use a water-based glue, but you can use your gel medium quite happily. So I'm going to work from the bottom up. A little bit of glue. And pop that there. So you'll spend most of the time just doing your vinyl layout. Pop that there. And then this little one I'm going to bring down a bit lower again, so it's a bit more in the foreground. Like so. So you can use your dies, you can use even like your digital downloads. So all my digital downloads I tend to use either come from Creative Fabrica or Design Bundles. So if you're looking for something that I've used, you'll probably find it on one of those too. Okay. Little pumpkin. flower just there. And one little flower just there. And on this side I'll kind of mirror that, so the orange will go high and the green will go low. And I'll pop that just there. And there we go. So then what you can do is use ribbons, fabrics to actually do your actual hanging strip. It all depends on how you want it to actually hang once it's in situ. So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed today and see you next month when who knows what the theme will be. Take care and bye.